immigration saw the country's overall population increase by 606,000 in 2022. This is according to the ONS, the Office for National Statistics. More people from outside the EU arriving on student and work visas, as well as the Ukraine and Hong Kong schemes, all contributed, according to the ONS. Now, the Prime Minister has said, oh no, migration is not out of control at all. Now, you may remember David Cameron, who was then Prime Minister, actually said and pledged to get net migration below 100,000. And the party's 2019 manifesto also committed to getting the rate down without setting a specific target. Now, we now know 1.2 million people arrived in the UK, 557,000 left in the same period. Joining me now, Alp Mehmet, Chairman of Migration Watch. Good morning to you.
Good morning, David.
I mean, I have to say this was a fantastic kind of example of the government trying to prepare us for terrible news. We heard that legal migration could be as high as 900,000. And then, of course, they've sat there and said, oh, well, it's not that bad. It's 606,000. It's appalling.
It is appalling. It's worse than that, actually. But let's not hunt around for adjectives to show how bad this was. The fact is that we, as you've just pointed out, David, over 20 years, there was an increase in, well, you didn't quite point it out, but I'm going to point it out. Immigration added something like 7 million people to our population, which grew by 8 million. Most of that, 85%, was the result of immigration. Now, the fact is that happened on an average net migration annual flow of 245,000. So once we get up to over 500,000, 600,000, if that was to continue, and I'll be saying more about this in a few days when we've really dug into the detail as to what it all means, it's no-brainer to say that we've got to reduce immigration because it's adding to our population at such a phenomenal rate.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other thing, sorry, David, but the other thing I would say is that the OBR is saying and assuming that it's going to drop back to 245,000 in the coming years. I just don't accept that, and I don't see what they're basing that on, apart from the fact that that's what's happened historically. Ukraine and Hong Kong, fine, but even that was 166,000. So we're still talking about 440,000 net migration in 2022, and probably this year a lot higher than that.
It seems extraordinary to me that the government has basically set the threshold, the bar, so low. So just so people understand, the threshold to come here as a skilled worker is that you have to earn 26,200. The median salary in this country is 33,000. Why on earth are we allowing people into this country who earn less than the median wage when we don't actually train up the 3.5 million British people on out-of-work benefits? Surely we should be doing that. Also, tell me, why have they put skilled jobs, including chefs, bricklayers, electricians, welders and health and care workers there, when we can train our own?
We can train our own, and we could actually pay more. And if we paid more, we would attract more. If you raised the salaries, the wage of those working in care homes to say £15, £16 an hour,
which
you would get all the care workers that you need. And that, I'm afraid, is where the problem lies. We are totally dependent on immigration because it's cheaper and it's easier to bring in people ready trained, although with care workers, frankly, there's all sorts of evidence to suggest that they're not trained at all. They come here because it's easy and we want them, and we pay more than they would get in their own country, if indeed they're in a job in their own country.
And just in terms of the numbers that are coming in, we gave 488,000 visas to foreign workers, but of that was 300,000 workers and 188,000 dependents. Now, clearly, we're allowing people into this country. They're bringing their families. We know that the Indians, Filipinos and Nigerians make up the most of these. 43% are the NHS and care visas. We've also got 482,000 foreign student visas coming in and bringing 149,000 dependents. Why do we allow so many foreign students in? Is that a problem in your book, or are you happy with that?
It's a huge problem because foreign students come here, and those going to university will do 3 years minimum, say. On top of that, they're now being allowed to work for 2 years. Those who are coming on postgraduate visas, those who are coming to do a master's degree, 9 months, if their government is sponsoring them, they actually only have to be coming for 6 months in order to bring their dependents. That's wrong. You also referred to the wage threshold overall of 26,000. In fact, it's a lot less than that if you're coming as an entry-level worker between the age of 18 and 25. So, and there's a lot of young people coming at a time when we've got something like 700,000 people who are not, youngsters who are not in full-time education or training. It's absurd. It really is absurd, and people are fed up with it. And that's why I've started my campaign, which I'd like to refer to, if I may, David, a petition now that people can sign up to, just to let the government know that they are not happy with these levels of migration, that they want migration reduced. About 60% of people say that, and it's about time that the government started listening and stopped ignoring what the people want.
I mean, it's extraordinary. I just want to bring René in here. You know, there are a number of things here. First of all, why are we having so many foreign students in this country? Because clearly they pay far more.
Because they're shoring up our universities.
They're shoring up the universities. Surely there should be an onus on universities to train British people, shouldn't there?
Absolutely. But this, again, like businesses, this is the easy way out. And actually, Alp, there's this excellent article by Miriam Cates today, and just a couple of comments where she supports this. She says, we're basically saying to people, by bringing them in under the median wage, come here and be a net beneficiary of our welfare system. And if people say they will end up earning more, she actually goes on to say that immigrants also get old. This is a giant Ponzi scheme. We will have to look after them.
Is that right, Al? A giant Ponzi scheme?
Well, yeah, we've been saying that for a few years, actually. That's exactly what it is. And what I always say is, look, I came here as an 8-year-old. I came here as an 8-year-old, not speaking English and all that. And here I am in my 70s. So even young people coming here, however young they are, eventually they get old, and all you're doing is, as the Ponzi scheme was suggesting, bringing in more and more people in order to sustain a burgeoning population. The population is exploding, and it's principally down to migration. That's what the problem is.
And can I just ask you, I mean, the government makes all of these sort of great pronouncements, but legal migration is 25 times higher than illegal migration. All I hear about from the government is stopping the small boats. That's not actually the major problem. It's the legal migration. Do you think the government actually wants to stop legal migration?
No, and we heard that from Rishi Sunak himself on the flight to Japan. And he was going for the G7, he poo-pooed the idea that it was too high, that people were really concerned about getting in people to do the jobs in the NHS and care workers coming in to do those jobs. It's not true. People are hugely concerned about the numbers coming in and the impact that is having on everyone, including those who are coming in, frankly. This is... And I get, time and time again, I get emails, I get messages from migrants themselves who are saying this is crazy. I was talking to some in Peterborough the other night. They were not sort of local Brits. They were people who'd settled here, migrants themselves, and they're saying this is absolutely crazy. Someone's got to put a stop to it. We're not talking about stopping immigration. That's ridiculous. Immigration will always be a feature of our lives, and so it should be. But what we're talking about is the scale and the speed with which it's happening. That is wrong.
And
students...
Sorry, yep, carry on.
On students, it isn't so much that students are coming in, but the fact is that we've got so many low-ranking universities now that are totally dependent on the foreign student fees. And that is one we're effectively saying to them, OK, bring in as many as you like, because we're not going to help you to survive. You can survive for yourself if you can by bringing in foreign students. That's really the message.
And very quickly, where can people find your petition?
Well, they can have it on cutimmigration.co.uk.
OK, Alp, always a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed, Alp Mehmet, Chairman of Migration Watch.